Good afternoon, welcome. Pinhole Quilting Showroom is a warm place to be today. Hooray! I've got my shorts on, Pete's got his shorts on. This is the first time we've been short all year. Well, we're usually short actually, both of us, but no, can you believe it? We've actually got some warm weather. So whatever you're doing, I hope that you're enjoying this lovely weather. You're possibly not watching Facebook Live, but if you are, welcome. And if you're watching it on catch up, then welcome. What's that? What you say? I don't know. Pete's mouthing something behind the camera, but I didn't pick it up. Okay. So Facebook Live today. It's been a really busy day, and we've had a whole load of deliveries because we've got Festival of Quilts. A week on Thursday, next week it starts, and as a result we've been getting a whole load of stock in, but more exciting than that, we've got a whole load of new products as well. There's some things that we've brought in that we've been wanting to have in stock for our customers for quite a while, and we're now in a position where we can do it. Having said that, the global problems with websites and various other things that have knocked out Berlin Airport, American Airlines, some banks and stuff around the world, has also affected pinhole quilting. I mean, you know, we are up there with all of those big American airlines and stuff in being affected. So unfortunately, our website, we haven't been able to update anything. But I thought we'd come on today and show you some of the new products so that we can share it with you. Actually, Pete, would you be able to turn that fan off? It's just, it's cooling me down, but it's getting right in my... making my eyes water. So we've got fans on. That's how warm it is. That's actually a bit better as well. It's a bit quieter. Well, there's nothing quite like thread to excite a quilter. And this is something that you discover when you get a long arm. You don't know so much about thread normally. Some of our customers do, but it's not typical. It's when you get a long arm that you realize how fantastic it is to have a range of threads of different weights, colors, variegations, or whatever at your fingertips. I have definitely been a thread person more than a fabric person for a long time. And the reason being, it is like it's like a paint box. You just play with it. And you'll find that that is really common amongst the long armers who've been long arming for more than 6 months. Instead of being scared of thread and changing tensions and things, you soon get the hang of it, and it is a wonderful experience to be able to play with thread. I'm holding on to this paperwork mainly because there's a whole load of information in there about the different threads, but I'm going to talk you through it and hopefully give you some insight into what we've got. Okay, Pete, has anybody come out the garden?
Yes. There's Julia up in Northumberland.
Oh, nice,
it's very
Julia.
warm.
I bet the doggies are a bit hot. I bet they're all flaked out on a tile floor.
Oh, those long-haired dogs of yours, Julia, they're going to need the fan on, I think.
Absolutely.
Lovely Carol up in County Durham.
Oh, great. Yep. We'll be seeing Carol very soon, won't we?
At Festival of
Quilts. We're looking forward to that.
Also, Linda Jackson.
Hi, Linda.
And Michelle Pullin from a very hot...
Wow.
Cheltenham.
Ages since I've seen you. Yesterday. So Michelle's working with us now and doing a great job on working on the machines, and yeah, so learning lots about taking machines apart. But actually, she's very excited because in fact, you took some pictures, didn't you, Pete? We must put those up on our Facebook page of Michelle's work on the rulers and with Pro Stitcher. So Pro Stitcher, Michelle's just got Pro Stitcher for Avanti and is loving it. And I'm telling you what, she's like this in learning curve. So well done, Michelle.
It's sunny and hot with Di Bell in Bristol as well, of course.
Oh, great. And looking forward to seeing you at Festival Di, along with all the other Bristol quilters.
And Tricia Lockhart says hello.
Hi, Trish. Okay, so let's talk about thread. We'll talk about thread first and then some of the other products. So when you get a long arm from Handy Quilter, you generally get a pack of threads. So this is pretty typical for what you get. You'll have samples of various things. So you get a sample of Masterpiece, which is a 50 weight 3-ply Egyptian cotton. So that's long staple Egyptian cotton. You get King Tut, which is a 40 weight 3-ply Egyptian cotton. You get, this is most of the time, it's not all the time, but Omni, which is a polyester, very good value, popular amongst long armers who are quilting as a business because it's a very economic thread to use. Magnifico, the modestly named superior threads, and you get Fantastico, which is the variegated version of Magnifico. Those are both trilobal polyester, so 3 threads twisted together, and you also get So Fine 50 weight 3-ply and a little booklet on superior threads. So this is what we're getting in. We've just received today, I think, about 20 boxes of thread. I know because I was here on my own when they arrived. Anyway, the guy was very good, but yeah.
That's
Can I just say
large boxes, not 20 small boxes.
Yes, not like
large boxes.
Not like little boxes. 20 big boxes. And Mark, our operations manager, Mark, he's away at the moment on holiday. So I took some photos and videos, and I said to the delivery guy, "This is so I can show Mark what I was doing while he was away." So, what if he's watching? Do you think he'll be watching, Pete?
No, they'll be, what, 7, 8... Oh, they're West Coast Canada, so they're going to be...
Oh, that's true.
Behind,
yeah, they might just be getting up. That is true. So I'm just putting those back in there, but let's just go through stuff. So when you're quilting, what are you looking for in thread? Quite often, colour will dictate what you go for, and that's absolutely fine. But say you had a rayon thread, beautiful, fantastic colours, but it's not a structural thread. For quilting, what we're trying to do is hold the 3 layers together. It's really, really important that you remember that, because some thread is just not suitable for the quilting process. So something like rayon is actually made of, it's natural fibres, but they're short, what we call short staples. I say we, it's the royal we. Short staples basically mean short fibres, and the longer the fibre, the stronger the thread, because they bind together, they get twisted together, and the longer they are, the stronger. As most people know, Egyptian cotton is very much a favoured cotton. The conditions in Egypt are very, very good for growing cotton. And the staples of that cotton are particularly good and strong and long. They are much better than, for example, the cotton that you would get maybe in the Carolinas in America, which would not have such a long staple. So this is why it's really important to buy a good quality thread, because cotton is not the same. Having said that, it is a known fact that there is more Egyptian long staple cotton exported from Egypt every year than is produced. So you kind of go, well, some must be perhaps shorter. But we know that we have very good quality cotton in King Tut and Masterpiece.
Just watch out what it says on your spool if you're buying cotton thread,
True.
Because it might, if it says Egyptian cotton, just check that it's 100% Egyptian cotton, because I think a lot of the thread manufacturers use a proportion of cotton from Egypt and therefore state that on the label. This is 100%.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really important thing to go with a brand that you know is a well-known brand like Superior.
So Trish says that she uses Magnifico even more so than Glide when she wants to showcase the quilting, because she thinks the light bounces from it even better. Yeah,
I think you might well be correct in that, Trish. And I think it's a really interesting thing. I mean, before we got into Glide, I got into Glide. Was it 2014, 2015? 2014, I went over to the States, to Houston, and got a sample of Glide thread as a result of doing a workshop with Kimmy Brunner. And Kimmy was really promoting the Glide thread. So we went over and spoke to the guys at Habendash Filtech. And it was really interesting because they were looking for somebody in the UK, and we took it on. And nobody was doing Glide before that. We were using Fantastico and Magnifico and absolutely loved it. But the Glide came in at a really good price point. So I think, Glide, I love it. It's really well priced. But there are some times when you do want something a little different. The color range is different. Fantastico is the variegated version, and it's fantastic variegations. I mean, they're really absolutely lush. So check out Fantastico and Magnifico, even if you've got the Glide thread. We've not got so much Magnifico coming in, but we've got a little bit. Fantastico, I've done a nice selection of those. I think we've got 40 or 50 of those. So what I've done is I've picked out what I think is going to be the most popular colours. We'll start with that. We're launching them at Festival of Quilts, and you'll see that we've got a fabulous selection. They'll be all on the Billy bookcases, the good old IKEA. Billy bookcases full of our glide thread. On one side, we're going to have on the other side all the superior threads. So this is pretty exciting because it's going to be a huge amount of thread that we're taking there. So, you know, whatever you're looking for with your project, bring your colours to match and check it out. Different, isn't it? It is quite, yeah.
I was just trying to find equivalent colours on Glide and Magnifico to see.
I think she's right, actually.
Yeah, and I think it's visible on the spool like that as well.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure if it would be visible on the camera, but on the left-hand side here, we've got the superior Magnifico, and on the right-hand side, we've got Glide. Now, they're both polyester trilobal and both very good threads.
Yeah.
There is probably a little bit more shine coming from that superior one on the left, though.
I would agree. And I would say that's borne out by my experience as well. I always found it, you know, quite a shiny thread. And that isn't something that you always want. So let's just talk about, you know, the differences between these threads. So we've got the trilobal polyester. It's really fantastic for really showcasing your stitching. And for an example, when Linda Jackson, who I think is watching, when Linda was winning the Best in World at the World Quilt Show, you know, she used beautiful Radiance fabric in the silver, and then by using different colors of the glide thread, transformed the quilt, the whole cloth quilt, as a result. And I think in that situation, a 40 weight, you know, trilobal thread is really giving you a fantastic amount of definition and colour. So that's where I think it really comes into its own. And there is a little bit of shine on it compared to obviously some of the other like cotton threads and things. And where you don't want that, then we'll talk about some other options for you. So what else about trilobal? Both of those threads, I mean, in terms of needle sizes, like let's just talk about needle sizes. We always match the needle size to the thread. So once you've picked your thread, you're then going to change your needle. Something like Magnifico and Fantastico, Superior recommends an 18 needle. With Glide, we find that we can use a 16 or an 18. So if you can get away with a 16, do. But if it's chafing the thread, if it's causing it to break, then you might need to go to an 18. It's partly dependent on the fibres you're using, including the wadding. Let's go next then. So Fantastico is like the twin sister of Magnifico, and that's the variegation. So where you're looking for something to have perhaps, I mean, where it's really beautiful, say in landscape quilts, you can use it to create the effects of water, so you get those sort of variations. I was talking with Jo Avery yesterday, and she'd used a variegated thread within the background where she was using these straight lines that she uses to great effect, and it actually made it look like a woven fabric. Really interesting, very subtle variegation, but actually the effect was something that was a completely unexpected bonus. Playing with thread like that, not knowing what the outcome might be, being experimental with it can yield really good results. But have a think, Pete, on the samples hanging up is a turquoise square that I did with 3 different samples on it, where I've got the orange and the, this is something that you might want to think about when you're using thread. Leah Day, who's a very, very good quilter, has done over the years some really great YouTube videos, and is somebody that really, you know, has kind of made various people, a number of people, get into long arm and domestic quilting. And Leah always says, test, don't guess. So with that in mind, this is the kind of thing you can do. So I've just got a square of fabric. This was actually an idea that was from Annalise Littlefair, who's one of our very good customers. And Annalise said, get a square, and you're going to divide it into 4. Do the same design, but in this top left, your top right, is a thread that matches. On this side, I've got a metallic Okay, down here I've got the contrast. So in the case of the turquoise, that's an orange. And here I've got a variegation. And what's interesting about the variegation is that if you and the idea is you pick a variegation where one of the colors in it matches the background, it actually looks like the quilting is skipped. So you have to be a little bit careful, because maybe you do want that effect, but for something like water you might, but actually it makes it look a bit weird. You maybe not be able to see it on the picture on YouTube, but this is something you want to avoid if you want to avoid it looking like you've missed a few stitches every now and then, because the thread, because it matches, just blends with the background. So that idea of practicing, of testing and seeing what happens, I mean, for example, on this, the thread build-up of the orange makes it look dramatically different to the one where it's a matching thread. Okay, so, for example, that's quite an interesting effect that you wouldn't necessarily have known before you started stitching. Okay, so we've gone through Fantastico, Magnifico and Glide. What if you don't want something that's really stand out? What we've got as an alternative for you is the So Fine. So Fine is a 50 weight 3-ply, so it's nice and strong. It's a polyester, so similar to Glide, it'll be a lower price point than something like the King Tut, which is a cotton, but it gives you a much more subtle shading. It's a flatter look, and it's the thing about it is the colorways that it comes in are also, there's a real subtlety to them. So we got in, and you'll see these at the show, the So Fine muted spool set. So this is a set of threads. I thought they were really nice, Pete.
Yes. So we will be selling some of the smaller spools as well as the large ones.
Yes.
So equally suitable for your domestic machines.
Yeah, absolutely. So with some of the more popular colours, we've got those in spools as well as cones. So Fine comes in a smaller spool, so that'll be suitable for your domestic, and the bigger cone, which has got 3,280 yards on it. As I say, some beautiful colours, really a great subtlety with the colours. And your quilting will show, it will be defined, but it won't be so defined because it's a 50 weight 3-ply and it's that flatter look. So maybe if you've got more traditional quilts and you don't want it to have a shine to the thread, So Fine would be a really good selection. Okay, just going back to the King Tut. King Tut in spools, in cones. There are variegated colours as well as more solid colours. And the original collections of these, which we used to stock when I was at Cotton Patch, we found that these sold really well because they're just a really, really strong, beautiful thread and some lovely variegations. And people do love variegated threads. It's a bit like metallics. You go to a show and yummy thread. It's kind of like going past the sort of the till where you've got all the chocolates and things like they used to do at M&S. You had to run the gauntlet. Threads like this are a bit like that. You kind of go past and I've got to have one of those. And that King Tut is a bit like that. It's got a nice flatness to it, but it's strong. So it's perfect for our long arms. For using this one, you use an 18 needle. Okay. If you want a slightly finer look and also good for piecing is the Masterpiece. Okay, so we've got that in a selection of colours. I think we've got a smaller selection of those, Pete.
Yeah, so this is cotton?
Yeah, it's cotton. It's 50 weight 3-ply and it's a really nice thread. I've used it a number of years ago. I used it on a quilt where I just wanted it to be, just like a lovely cotton quilt, and I just wanted it to be matched with that. I found it stitched really, really beautifully. It's a very smooth thread. Long staple Egyptian cotton. Masterpiece. Okay, and for that one, in terms of needle size, I believe you might use in fact, there's a really good chart. I downloaded this off the Superior Threads website, and it gives you a long arm thread reference guide which shows you what size needle to use for each of the threads. I don't expect you to read that, but that was just to show you that it exists. Masterpiece, 50 weight. Yeah, in here it says actually a 19 needle. Now that sounds a bit big for me. I'd go for an 18 personally. I think that might not be correct. I would have to double check, but I think that's a little thick. Masterpiece. Another look here. Masterpiece. Yeah, they've put long arm 19. Okay. I think I will be trying that out and letting you know, but I haven't used it for a while, and I don't believe I use the 19 needle. Now, what about if you want something finer than that? You want the stitches to disappear. Bottom line.
Linda uses an 18 needle for Masterpiece. Yeah,
that figures, Linda. That would be my sense of it too. I'm pretty sure I would have used an 18 needle before. We don't, I mean, we do have 19s?
We do, yes.
We have 19s, but it's not within the normal range of what we have. We normally, with the machines, supply a 16 and an 18. So it would have to be an additional set of needles. I would try an 18. I think it'll work for you. Bottom line then, the bottom line is a 60 weight. It's a 2-ply polyester thread, so it's a polyester filament. Bottom line, great in the bobbin with a thicker thread on top. It's excellent where you use king tut on the top, bottom line on the bottom. This is a 3,000 yard cone. So you can use it on the top and bottom where you want the threads to look relatively fine, probably pretty much disappearing if you get them to match to your background fabric. And it's just a really nice thread because then it just looks quilted, but you're not seeing the stitches. So where you want to really preserve perhaps the piecing and the design without it looking overly quilted, the bottom line would be a really good choice. And you can also piece with this. All right. So the bottom line, top and bottom thread. With that one, I think I'd be using a 14 needle. 14 needle for that would work really well. I'll keep this out. So bottom line, yeah, 14 needle. If you do put it on your bobbin and wind it yourself, the benefit is as well that you'll be able to match your top and bottom thread. And when you're starting out perhaps on your long arm journey, that matching of threads in terms of colors really does help you out. It's not like you can't do it, but you might get better at it over time. Pete, have you got any questions or any comments? I'm sure people will have comments about thread because most people have a view on thread about what they like, which is good.
Apart from Linda's comments, she also says she agrees with you that a multicoloured thread, you have to be careful because the stitches do disappear if the colours of thread and material are similar.
Yeah.
But no other questions. I think they're enthralled.
They're enthralled. Okay. Now, one other thing that I was thinking as Pete was reading out Linda's comment is that the bit that people don't realise, the unknown quantity depending on what thread you've got, is not all variegated thread is the same. Like the variegation length can be very, very different too. So I believe on Fantastico it's 1 inch before the color changes. Okay, so they will be different. If you find a variegated thread, just see what that variegation is, because it could be that you've got like a really big block of red and a big block of white and a big block of blue, and that might not suit the size and scale of the quilting that you're working on, whereas a more subtle color change that's every inch will just blend. So that's something to think about. Also, on king tut, which is cotton and it absorbs the dye, if you've got really extreme colors, I'm thinking black, yellow, red, through the variegation, some of those colors can adopt the dye in different degrees depending on the dye color, which actually affects the thickness of the thread. And whilst that might not be particularly obvious to you if you just run your fingers through it, it is more obvious to the machine. And what can happen is that as it goes through the tension discs, it goes from the very thick with the black on it to the red and the, whatever Celsa said, red and blue. You might find that those colours don't all have the same amount of tension when it's affected by the bobbin. So when you look at the reverse of your quilting, you might find that it's perfectly tense. Gosh, I'm not getting my words today. The tension is perfect on the reverse for 3 out of the 4 colours. And the reason will be because the thickness of one of those colours is different to the other 3. Now, what can you do about that? So there is a quilter in Canada, Sue Patton, and she does use variegated thread like King Tut. But what she does is, say the thread is coming off the cone and it goes red, white, blue. If you wind it onto the bobbin, it goes on in reverse. So what she does is she winds it twice so that when it's dispensed, it comes out red, white, blue. Now, Peter's shaking his head as if to say, there's far more to do with life than spend your time winding a bobbin twice.
She's really reading my mind.
I can do that. It's quite scary. Sometimes I ignore it. So red, white, blue, that's the thing, is how do you get around that problem? Well, the way that Sue Patton approaches it is to get around the problem. She's matching the red, white and blue throughout the quilt. If you want to do that, that is definitely a solution. But the other way of doing it is to test it out before you put your backing on and match the backing to the one that's the problem. So that would get around it. Okay, so the backing fabric choice is key in that solution. All right. Is anybody else commenting on the life's too
Linda
short?
agrees with me that it's a bit of a waste of your life. So there we are.
Okay.
There are some other questions. So
right.
Linda mentions that with King Tut, the variegation between black and white is even obvious to the touch.
Yes, I think it is too. I said you might not be able to, but actually I've definitely noticed it. And there's a few that are very, very extreme differences. Was one that's called Tiger Eye, something like that, has got black, like a very dark navy and yellow, I think, in it. And I've really noticed a big difference, but it can vary, of course, from cone to cone too. Okay.
Question from Michelle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but you might. Is it okay to mix multiple different thread types, and what size needle? Are you talking about different threads through the same needle, Michelle? Because I think we were talking about that the other day when Michelle was here.
Yeah.
It's not something she'd tried yet, I don't think.
Okay, so if you wanted to put multiple thread types, so say you've got 2 Magnificos that you want to put through the same needle, that's fine, because they're both slick threads and they'll just go through at the same rate pretty much. But say you put a very furry thread through with a very slick thread, you'll find that they don't really go through at the same rate. And that might not be a problem, but the point is you need to try it. Now I have used, let me see, I've used an Orifil wool 12 weight, which is like a wool and nylon mix with a cottee, and that was fine. That was with a 20 needle. Point is, you got to try it. Try it and let us know, Michelle. That's the exciting thing. That's a beautiful colour. I love that.
Yeah, it's like a light grey, but it's a light grey mercury type colour.
It is.
It's a beautiful
really,
colour.
really nice.
What is the name of that one?
I would tell you, but it's actually just got a number.
Oh, okay.
I looked on it to see if I could see the name as well.
That's unhelpful.
Maybe it's got it here. No, just a number. We are just a number. All right, so bottom line, let's get on to Omni thread. 6,000 yards. 6,000 yards of a poly-wrapped polycore. Reason why poly-wrapped polycore and why it might benefit you is if you're a long arm quilter quilting for others, this is a very forgiving thread. It's extremely economic as well. It's equivalent to a 40 weight. It's what's called a Tex 30, because it's polyesters are normally defined as Tex actually, but because most of these products are for the quilting world, they do a comparison. So this is equivalent to a 40 weight, 100% polyester, and just a really, there's a bit more linty. We found it a bit more linty, haven't we?
Very much so, yes.
Yeah. So that's the downside. But if you clean your machine out and oil it every time.
I was looking at the pricing. I mean, we're going to have these superior threads at really keen pricing.
Yeah.
There's actually not much difference in price for the quantity between Glide large cone and Omni large cone, because there's 5,500 yards on here and there's 6,000 yards on the Omni.
I thought it was 5,000 on ours.
5,000 meters.
Oh, 5,000 meters, you're right. And this is yards. Okay, interesting, Peter. Very interesting.
So price wise, there's not much to tell between them.
Made of recycled material.
Ah,
that's good, isn't it? No, I just read that. Let's talk about your finest thread. Say you wanted to quilt with something that was incredibly fine. You just wanted to show the quilting in terms of the shapes and the definition as a result of where you've quilted. It pulls it down. You might even use 2 layers of wadding. Micro quilter. Okay, so micro quilter is a 100 weight thread, and it's a 100 weight, a little fly, 2-ply polyester, 3,000 yards on the spool, on the cone rather. Now 100 weight, it is quite fine, but you know, there's 100 weight and there's 100 weight. I find this one is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's quite reliable, and you would use it with a 12 or a 14 needle. 12, yeah, you could do it with a 12, and then you get nice small holes. If it breaks, you find it's breaking too much, go to a 14. So micro quilter comes in a variety of colors, but the nice thing is, because it's so fine, it's almost like an invisible thread. An invisible thread is made of nylon or polyester, depending on which one you get. And the micro quilter, I find, is just a little bit more pliable. So it looks and feels a lot like a natural fiber thread. You can go over many times. Say you're doing pebbling, you can go over many times and it doesn't show as a very thick line. That can be what you want. And if it is, then micro quilter is your choice.
Just a couple of comments on Omni. A couple of people have said that they agree that there's a lot of lint from Omni. Omni, although it's polyester, it is actually processed so that it looks like cotton, really. It's got a matte finish, so that is a significant difference, the main difference between Glide and Omni.
Yes.
So price-wise, they're the same, but it is very different.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting a cotton look, but without the cost of cotton, which is typically at least 3 to 4 times as expensive for the same quantity, then Omni is an economical way of getting that look.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Pete, because that is the point, isn't it? Are we looking for a flat look? Are we looking for something to really shine? That is all part of the decision. One
of the key decisions, isn't it, when you're choosing a thread for your project?
Yeah.
So Georgie says, so excited about the new threads. We'll have them at Festival, Georgie. So
yes, you know that I'm very excited as well. I mean, just them coming in today, it's like, yes. That's why the little video, it's like, whoa.
And a quick aside from Jacqueline Goffin.
Yes.
Beautiful, fresh-looking quilt behind you. We featured it before, Jacqueline.
Yes.
This is by
Stuart Hillard.
Stuart Hillard, made and quilted by Stuart Hillard.
Absolutely, and quilted on the Amara with Pro Stitcher, with an all-over design. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It is. I've washed it. When Stuart gave it to us, he'd been taking it around various places, shoved up against it, but he'd been taking it around various places, and it being mainly white, it was quite grubby, it was quite grubby. He did say, "I'm really sorry, it's so grubby. But you might want to wash it." You might want to wash it. Yeah, I'll definitely wash it, Stuart. So anyway, I washed it, low temperature, and I put in 2 colour catches, because obviously I was a little bit worried about the reds, but it didn't run at all.
But it's washed really nicely.
It has. It's washed beautifully. It just looks like a lovely quilt now. And it was always a lovely quilt. Now it looks like a lovely quilt that's been loved. We love it. We love it too.
And Lisa Waters is coming to see us at Festival of Quilts.
Great.
Good. Look forward to meeting you, Lisa. She's looking to purchase her first long arm.
Yay!
I haven't mentioned that yet. There's yet another option available this week, is there not?
Yes. Since we spoke last, a new machine has been announced by Handy Quilter on Monday, which was very exciting. Can I talk about that after I've done Money Poly? Monopoly. Very fine, reduced sheen. This is where you want to have a monofilament, perhaps for a quilt where you've got a lot of colours. You know, sometimes you might have many colours. You can't pick one that's going to work with everything. You just want the quilting to show as a defined quilted look, but you don't want it to show. That's where your neutral, this one, or the smoke is going to work for you. We used to use this a lot back in the 90s when our quilting was maybe not up to the same scratch as it is now. I used a lot, and I think we all did actually. The invisible nylon thread was incredibly useful. So this is a polyester monofilament. It's quite pliable. That's 10,000 yards, comes with its own thread net. Very important to use the thread net. Recommended, I'm just reading it from there, recommended 14 needle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, actually.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking.
Yeah.
Size 14 needle.
Yeah, it's on the front. Yeah, so the nice thing is that one of the problems that used to be like fishing line. It was horrible. It's horrible to use. It didn't feel nice in the quilt. You don't use it in your bobbin. You use bottom line in the bobbin. You might use deco bob in the bobbin, but don't use it in the bobbin. If it gets caught and wrapped around the hook assembly, it can get warm and then start melting and stuff. So you don't really want that to happen. So yeah, we don't recommend sticking it. It's actually really hard to find as well because it's invisible thread. Okay. Metallics. Oh my goodness, now this is very exciting. Did you see these variegated ones as well? So there's mini cones and there's the big ones. We got bigger ones as well, haven't we? Somewhere.
Have a look. I haven't opened all of those 20 boxes yet, so this was just a quick selection that I found.
Oh, I love
I'll see if I can find some now. You're looking for some of the other metallics.
Yes, and there's a beautiful variegated one. Metallics, oh my goodness, a good metallic is to die for, okay? Metallics vary. It's really important to know that not all metallics were made equal. So this Superior one is probably up amongst my favorites. I do like the Glide one because it's got a rayon, not a rayon. What's the core? I can't remember what the core is. But the core makes a difference. In this one, they suggest using an 18 needle. I pretty much use an 18 for most of the metallics. The lovely thing about this one, I've used the silver, and I've had a silver one here in the showroom for all the time we've been doing foundation workshops. It was my own personal one, and here we go. This is one very similar to one I found. So this one here, this metallic big cone, I've had one of these in the showroom forever. And you wouldn't believe the number of times when people have come on a foundation workshop and go, oh, metallics, ooh, scary, scary. And then before you know it, we're on to ruler work and they've still got the metallic silver on the machine, still playing with it like it's a normal thread. And that's the point. If it's a good metallic, you can use it just like you would a normal thread. It really does behave incredibly well.
Certainly, of the ones that I've tried on the Handy Quilter machines, the Superior metallics are the best and the easiest to get the tension right. Yes. And they just work like a standard thread.
They do. We might as well say it like it is. They are fabulous. Beautiful gold, rose gold. Here's some of the variegations. So if you hold that one up, that is gorgeous.
So easy to see because of the plastic that's still on them here, but that's a really nice selection.
Oh, they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Great for Christmas, this one. This red one, red metallic. Lovely as a background for your Santa. Make your Santa glitz. So that is...
Have you been through all of them? King Tut, did you do King Tut?
I did King Tut.
Oh, King Tut in smaller spools. Oh yes, fusible.
Charlotte's fusible web. Charlotte War Anderson, really great quilter. Mostly on, Charlotte War Anderson's done a lot of pictorial quilts, but the point about this is it's a fusible thread. So basically it's going to fuse your stitching down. We're going to be doing some demos on that. I need to find out more about how to use it for different applications other than ones that I know about. You don't use it as a top thread. Generally, it's in the bobbin. And you can also use it in a serger or an overlocker. Okay, so Charlotte's Web, look out for more info on that, and I'll share some of the videos on how you can use it. But I think you might well find it very handy for things like doing the binding on quilts. Okay.
Superior, incidentally, have a very good website, don't they, with a huge amount of information on all of their threads.
They do. Yes, it's a really, it's a very established company. We've got, lots of years of experience of using these threads, and we do love them. So What on to next?
More new products.
Oh, Moxie S. So let's talk about the new machine, Moxie ST. It's an 18-inch sit-down long arm with the insight table. So it comes with the stitch regulation built in. You can also run it in manual mode. The table takes up about 1 meter square of space, and the pricing on it is...
I'll just have to look that up.
I think I can remember.
Can you?
I believe it's 5,750.
I think you're probably right.
That'd be good, because Pete's normally the numbers person that remembers numbers. But I mean, we haven't got it yet. It's flying. It's flying, isn't it?
Due to land at Heathrow on Sunday,
Oh.
but I've just seen an email in from the shipping agents at Heathrow saying that all their systems have problems because of this outage at the moment, which could end in delays for certain things.
Oh, yes. Gosh, we're so lucky because we've got all our other deliveries in today.
But in theory, it should arrive on Sunday, clear customs on Monday, and arrive here on Tuesday. But we've still got a bit of time before Festival of Quilts, so...
That's not what we wanted, is it?
It's really good this time, actually, because in the past, Handy Quilter has launched things in the States, and we've had to wait several months before we could get a version of the machine.
Yeah.
On the ST, they've given us a machine that we can use at Festival of Quilts at the same time as they've just launched it in the US. Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. So we will have it on our stand along with the Amara ST, which is the 20-inch Amara version of the sit-down stationary model. And you'll be able to have a play with both of those. So if you've got a Sweet 16, you've been thinking about upgrading it, I think you need to come along and have a look at the Moxie ST. Optional side tables, which have been available for the Insight table on other models. You'll be able to extend your working space. Beautiful smooth table, height adjustable. It just looks like a really lovely machine. And we're very happy with the Moxie XL in terms of a machine as an 18-inch as a stand-up. So if it performs like that, we'll be delighted. And I'm sure our customers will be that decide to go with it. Okay, so that's the Moxie ST. We've got brochures that I've just sent off to the printers today. And so come along, pick up a brochure, come and say hi, have a test drive and see if you like it. Hopefully you will. Let's talk next about, gosh, we've got so much to talk about, Pete.
So many new products.
So many new products. I've had this one for a while, but we are now stocking Bethanne Nemesh's products, books and templates. They are yet to go up on the website, but we'll have them at Festival of Quilts. I bought this one for myself a number of years ago when it was first launched. It's a really fun book because it basically goes through a lot of designs, how you can adapt them perhaps from photography, from nature, and transform them into quilting designs. The thing about quilting designs, when Bethanne or various other people who are very good at quilting, what they talk about is being able to travel. And that's a really important part of a design. How do you get to the next space? Really good book for that. We've got Nemeshing. So Bethanne Nemesh, for those of you who aren't familiar with Bethanne Nemesh, she's an incredibly accomplished quilter. Very often uses pictorial elements within her quilt. So within the quilting, quite often motifs are hidden. And you'll find that she's also an extraordinarily good quilter of feathers. And so this is freehand feather flourish, otherwise known as nemeshing. There's some really nice tips in this book. Things like how to get that path for your feather, how to move it around, how to create shapes out of it, non-backtrack feathers, how to do them her way, heirloom feather sprays. So much in the book. So come and have a look at that at the Festival of Quilts. Now, the devil is in the detail. I think Bethanne was one of those people who really set in train a lot of people to do incredibly beautiful finished bindings. There's some lovely tips and techniques in there. Goes through how to do flanges and other bits and pieces.
So if you don't follow Bethanne at the moment, she is, as Liz says, a very good quilter. That's how you spell her name. Find her on Facebook.
Yep.
And soon on her website, she will be stating that if you want products in the UK, you'll be able to get her products from us.
Yes. What I love about this one, which is called Sampler Quilt Smackdown, Secondary Quilting Designs for All Block Quilts. It's just a really, I mean, let me just show you this sort of thing. Here we've got, how you can do elements of the border, and in order to make feathers really, really look incredible. Having some distance away from the border is a really important design point. I saw that definitely when Talen Jeffrey came over. It's one of the things that Talen talked about, is having that distance. In fact, I was with Michelle and Pauline yesterday in the showroom discussing this very thing. So having sort of, do you have it symmetrical? Do you have it asymmetrical as well? Having lines by a ruler that sort of point to your border, and how can you do it without backtracking?
So
lots of information.
Linda, who of course is a very accomplished quilter in her own right, says that Bethanne's books are fantastic and that she thoroughly recommends them. Jacqueline says they look like interesting books. Do you know prices yet? I do actually. I've worked out the pricing on the books, Jacqueline, so I can tell you those. I haven't done it on the templates yet, so you'll have to wait for those. But on the books, 2 of the books will be £29. That's Quilted Texture A to Zen and Sampler Smackdown.
Yeah.
The other 4 are £24.
Okay, great. That's good. I love this. This is a book that I would work my way through. So the Fast and the Fancy, Feathers for Freehand Quilters. I mean, what you'll find, what I really love about her books is that she shows you things like the path. The path, black and red, just really nice and straightforward. You know, sometimes you get superfluous detail in books. No, this is the nub of what you need, but done in such a way as to really build skills. I mean, there's some very, very good quilters that have done books in the past, and you know, I've mentioned Jamie Wallen in that respect and Kimmy Bruner, but I think, you know, Bethanne has really done some beautiful books here that you know, I'm delighted that we're stocking them. So this one, if you can feather, you can freehand. Use it as, think feathers, not necessarily just as feathers. Think of them as a way of improving your freehand quilting skills. Okay, you might be a modern quilter, but actually by learning feathers, you will create a whole range of actions and abilities that you will not otherwise have. The things you can learn from other people in other subsets of the quilting world that perhaps you can adapt and use in your own style. So we've got, again, it's about paths, it's about backtracking or not, it's about movement, going and travel. So those are all the things that it's important to do. So things like this, here we go, pine cone, just as an example. There's designs in there, it shows exactly how you create that movement. You could put a clear sheet over the top of that and practice it, like a slider, what we call sliders. So absolutely brilliant. So we're delighted to have those books, and we've got Bethanne's templates. One of the things I love about these, they're pale green, so
yes,
you can really see,
isn't it? But, yes,
against the white. Yeah, and you can actually, the etch lines, I remember reading about how she described, you know, how delighted she was with the outcome of this, because the etch lines, if they're just clear, you can't always see them, but because of the depth of the pale green, they show really, really well. So we've got all of Bethanne's templates. So come along to the show and have a look, have a play, see what you think. There's a lovely selection. Let's just run through. We've got the long lily lines. That's really good for your stand-up long arms, or for a sit-down where you want to mark it. And with a, I think we've got the little guide things, haven't we? Yes, we have. We've got the little 1/4 inch pack, right. Of where you can actually do your drawings for your designs ahead of actually stitching it out. So very good for planning your quilting.
So that replicates the effect of the foot on your machine.
Yeah, so you'd put a fine rotary pen or pencil in there. So that's the long lily lines. We've got lily lines 1, 2, and 3, which is this one, and this one. That's 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so you can use these in various ways. Just really nice templates. I love this one. Now so these are nice.
There are 3 of those.
Yeah.
In different sizes.
Yeah. And I love this. So on Love Lines 1, there's a little empowering motif on that. You got this. You got this. Love Lines 2, you are too fab. And peace and love. Okay. And love lines 3, so great, love your quilt, you rule. Handy lines for reference. So when you're moving up and you want to get something absolutely perfect in terms of, its gradation, perhaps you're doing lines where you just sort of need to move up, you're doing a crosshatch. Those lines are very useful for reference. Now this is a nice one, lilac lines, and it goes with this one. Yeah. So lilac lines and lavender lines, concave and convex. Okay, so that's nice, and it just means that you've also got this, which has got a mark on for 1/8 of an inch as well. If you're doing really, really fine repetitive lines, lilac lines is a great one for that, as well as lavender lines. Both of them have got the same little top bit. This one's got a lovely small clamshell and a nice curve. This one, which is the lilac lines, has got a lovely S curve with a start and stop point, and then a curve on there. These are really handy size, loving them. Then we've got arbor lines, we're not over yet. Arbor lines, we've got this one, arbor lines 1, arbor lines 2, so slightly different gradations of circle with some very useful reference lines. So 45 degrees and also a line through the middle and a line horizontally. So when you start using rulers, you suddenly realize how important those lines are. So definitely check those out. Love this again because the garden lines, which is this one, which is a straight edge ruler, but it's got 30 degree, 60 degree, 45 degree, and it's got 1/8 inch markings on. Not many rulers have 1/8 inch markings on. And lotus lines, a lovely small one there with this center thing here for your hopping foot, so you can actually move it with that. Good for going around applique, for example. Okay, so how exciting is that?
So a few comments on the rulers.
Yeah.
As I said, we don't have prices yet. And I know those people that have bought directly from the States have ended up spending a lot of money because it's very expensive to import them.
Yeah. And shipping gets added on for VAT and duty. Then you've got the clearance for every single one. So we're hoping that, we can provide it at a price that means that you don't have to go to the States. That's the idea.
So Georgie, of course, as I knew, has all of Bethanne's rulers, as does Linda.
Yeah.
So yes, they're very well regarded.
Yes.
Jacqueline said she had a great talk and demo with the Quilters Guild with Bethanne.
Ah, interesting. That's good. Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? Nice talk. A talk would be good. And maybe that's something we can arrange.
Rebecca O'Connor, who I'm delighted to see, is coming to see us at Festival of Quilts again this year. Oh my word, we're in trouble
You
again.
guys, you make us laugh.
Party Central.
Absolutely.
One of the great things about Festival are the people that we see from more distant places.
Yeah.
Not that Ireland is that distant, but
No.
with it being so much more difficult for us to send things through to Ireland now, it's a great opportunity for people like Rebecca to come to Festival and buy things. So she's asking, do we have a lot of books or can I pre-order for pickup at your stand? We will be setting that up, Rebecca, and I think that would be a very good idea for you because we haven't got a huge number of the books in. And it means that they will be there for you to be able to take back.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
When Mark's back next week, we'll get all of these products set up, priced up, and we will also put an option on there. This applies to anybody for buy in advance and pick up at the stand. Yeah,
absolutely. Mark, he's been on holiday, so he'll be hitting the ground running, won't he? Because he's coming back, and then we just have to get ready for Festival of Quilts.
Certainly will. We won't have any excuses about jet lag or anything.
No, time difference. Forget it. So Rebecca's friend, can you remember Rebecca's friend's name? And I can't. I'm really sorry. I should remember. But they are so funny. They're very, very funny. And when Rebecca's friend ordered her machine at Festival of Quilts, do you want to tell the story, Pete, or shall I? Do you want to tell it?
She came up to me and decided to order her Moxie on loft frame, was very, very excited, put down the deposit, and then said to me, really excitedly, now I've got to go home and tell my son that he's leaving home. And then added, it's okay though, he's not 5, he's 25, he should have left home already, and now he's got to, because that's the only space I have for my Moxie.
It was just brilliant.
Claire!
Thank you, Rebecca. Claire, it's so funny. You guys are the best.
So Claire,
and will we see you in Belfast?
Rebecca and Claire are going to be bringing some snacks. Really bad news for you, Rebecca. Our stand is right next to
the gin bar. Or is it the Prosecco bar?
The gin and Prosecco bar.
Gin and Prosecco bar. You have whatever you like.
It could get messy.
It could. We'll be watching. We'll be over there. Okay. I think that's it, Pete. Oh, just one other thing. Just to mention, if you didn't see them last week, we've got these back in stock. Super satchel.
People are going to have a lot more threads, aren't they, after they come to see us?
Yeah, look. It's fit in here.
So yeah, we've been out of stock of these for a while. They're really useful. We will also have those at Festival of Quilts.
Right, I'll just take these home with me. Just taking a few. Here we go. Perfect. Super satchel, thread box, and
because your bobbins.
This is going to be perfect for all your bobbins. £1 cheaper than the Handy Quilter one, as Pete pointed out last week. So, we're there. I think we're there. Great. Well, we've been chatting for a while, which is lovely. It's Friday. It's nearly 4 o'clock. I've got to call a few people back, so I better go before we go off for our little weekend.
I've got a lot of thread boxes to unpack.
You have. Good luck with that, Pete. And to the rest of you, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the sunshine. We know it's not going to be around forever, like tomorrow. I think it's going to rain tomorrow, isn't it?
Oh, no.
I think so. Somebody said that anyway. Isn't it sad? Anyway, happy quilting, everybody. We'll catch up with you next Friday before we see you all, hopefully, at Festival of Quilts.